poem found in a passenger's suitcase would eerily foreshadow one of aviation's most shocking disasters. Lines about waves, vacuum, and holes were written before United Flight 811 left Honolulu. Minutes into the calm routine of the night, that premonition collided with terrifying reality. But how did this verse come to echo the fate of a Boeing 747, and what happened in the moments no one could forget? United Airlines Flight 811 pushed back from the gate at Honolulu just after 1:30 in the morning. The Boeing 747, heavy with passengers and cargo, rolled quietly along the dark taxiways, its destination Sydney by way of Auckland. Inside the cabin, the lights were low. Passengers tucked away bags, adjusted seat backs, and settled in for a long overnight journey across the Pacific. The flight crew completed their checklists, voices calm over the intercom. Outside, the weather was routine. No storms, no delays. At 1:52 in the morning, the jet lifted off, engines steady as the city lights faded behind. The seatbelt sign glowed overhead while the aircraft began its climb, banking gently over the water. Most travelers closed their eyes or reached for a blanket, lulled by the hum of the engines and the promise of an uneventful flight. For a few quiet minutes, everything felt as it should, ordinary, safe, and still. At 22,000 feet, a sudden force erupted beneath the cabin floor. The forward lower lobe cargo door, set into the right side of the fuselage, just behind the cockpit, tore away from the aircraft in an instant. In less than a second, pressurized air inside the cabin hurled outward to meet the thin atmosphere, creating a massive, jagged hole along the side of the 747.
If you want more stories like this, like and subscribe. Your support helps us investigate the stories that still need answers.
The noise was deafening. A deep concussive blast shattered the calm and sent a shockwave through the structure. Floor panels above the cargo door buckled and lifted. Oxygen masks dropped, but the rush of air overpowered every other sound. For a moment, it felt as if gravity itself had changed. In Lee Campbell's words, air rushed past to fill a vacuum. The boundaries between inside and outside vanished, transforming the ordinary flight into a struggle against the void. In the seconds after the cargo door tore away, the cabin became unrecognizable. The pressure difference between inside and outside the aircraft created a force so powerful that it ripped 10 seats, rows G and H, seats 8 through 12, straight from the floor. 9 passengers vanished, pulled out into the darkness over the Pacific, leaving no trace. For those who remained, survival came down to instinct and luck. Some passengers clung to armrests, others braced against seat frames, fighting against the howling wind and flying debris. Oxygen masks whipped uselessly in the gale. Flight attendants, trained for emergencies but never for this, crawled along the floor, calling out above the roar, checking for anyone still conscious or in need of help. In the chaos, one attendant was nearly pulled through the opening, but managed to hold on until a colleague dragged her back. The air was thin, cold, and filled with fragments of insulation and luggage. Every breath burned. In that violent, surreal space, the reality of loss settled in. A row of empty seats, names that would never be called again. Captain David Cronin, First Officer Gregory Slader, and Flight Engineer Randall Thomas faced a crippled jet, stripped of 2 right-side engines and fighting severe imbalance. The cockpit filled with alarms. Thomas quickly assessed the damage. One engine had failed outright, and another showed flames and high temperature readings. Slader worked the radios, declaring a mayday and requesting priority return to Honolulu. Cronin ordered an immediate descent and a left turn, knowing the gaping hole in the fuselage made every second critical. With only the left engines providing thrust, the aircraft wanted to yaw and roll, demanding constant correction. Manual controls strained against the forces tearing at the airframe. Thomas managed the fuel dump, lightening the load for landing. The crew calculated their approach, partial flaps only, to avoid further stress. Cronin kept the speed high, touching down at nearly 190 knots, far faster than normal, just to maintain control. The jet shuddered and veered, but stayed on the runway. In less than half a minute, doors opened and evacuation began. Against all odds, 346 people survived. Engineers at the National Transportation Safety Board assembled the recovered cargo door and traced the sequence of failure. The door's locking system relied on a set of latch cams designed to rotate into place and hold under pressure. But the investigation revealed that an electrical short in the wiring harness could power the latch motors even when the external handle was locked. This allowed the cams to move out of position without any visible warning. The mechanism could appear secure while remaining dangerously vulnerable. Under the stress of cabin pressure at altitude, the door forced itself open, exposing a flaw that had been documented in prior reports but never fully addressed. The NTSB's final report named this false lock scenario as the probable cause, closing the debate over what had gone wrong inside the system. In the wake of Flight 811, the FAA issued airworthiness directives 90-10-14 and 90-26-10, mandating immediate inspections and a full redesign of 747 cargo doors. Airlines worldwide installed reinforced locks, rewired warning systems, and proved compliance before flights could continue. Yet for Lee Campbell's family, a single line from his poem, "Progressive holes which must be filled," remained, with their permission, as a haunting echo of both loss and change. A single flaw can ripple through countless lives. Today, every flight's safety owes something to those lost. The cost of complacency is written in memories and in the rules protecting us now.